Well, here we are once again, my fellow golf ball addicts, continuing on the top 100 golf balls for 2025. We are officially doing today 60 through 51, and what I think is really cool about this is we are now officially over the halfway line, right? There was 120 golf balls tested this year. You know, we already mentioned the ones that didn't make it, and now we've gotten to where, like I said, 60 through 51. So once we hit 60, that's exactly the halfway line for golf balls tested this year. So everything from here on up is technically in the top 50%, which is cool, right? And we've already seen some golf balls that have started to perform and had some decent metrics. It might just be the pitching wedge, it might be off the tee, but the golf balls are starting to find a decent groove here, and I think we're just going to continue to see more of that as we get closer to the top. So let's go ahead and dive right in. This is 60 through 51. As always, thank you. Hey, again, if you want to support this channel further, we have a membership that just starts at $1, but also just liking, commenting, subscribing, all that free stuff really does help this channel out a ton. It allows it to be shown to more viewers, and the more viewers that know about our stuff, I think the more people that would come and subscribe, so thank you very much. Real quick, before I dive into number 60, I just want to mention the music, because I kind of feel like I have to. I've mentioned it in the comments a couple times, but I just want to make sure I do an announcement to everybody so you guys know. The music will be changed every 2 videos. Every 2 videos, we will get new music for the, 60, 59, all that stuff. Because I learned last year that it's impossible to make everybody happy. Last year, I don't know if you know, but most of these tracks you're listening to, as far as what we've heard so far, I actually go into a music creator and mess around with the beats. And last year, I spent hours doing that because I had so much fun. I love music creation. I went to college a little bit for it. And what happened is kind of the same thing that's happening this year. I would then put them out there and be like, oh my goodness, I love this. And yeah, there'd be a couple people that were like, oh yeah, I really love it. But then there'd also be a couple people that are like, no, I hate this. This is awful. I can't even watch the video. And so I learned this year that, look, I'm just going to change up the music every 2 videos. At number 60, we are looking at the Volvik Power Soft. Yeah, again, someone just made a comment today, actually. They said Volvik's like an STD. It just keeps popping up. Yeah, and it will, because there's 16 models total. I think I tested 13, which I wish I'd gotten all of them, but I just didn't get to it in time. But this is another model that is standing out from the Volvik crowd. This is a softer golf ball. It's more in their inexpensive lineup. But if we look at these numbers here, even though it is a 2-piece design, maybe for slower swingers or maybe beginners, intermediate, the numbers are actually pretty solid. Now, when it comes to 50-yard spin, it doesn't spin a ton. It's more of a distance ball, keep it in the fairway. Pitching wedge, solid performance. That's a low yellow. That's really good. Then we get to the spin, not bad in the green, 7-yard. The ball speed was excellent. The yards, not so much, but that's because the spin was top-notch, which is great to see. And then off the driver, not bad. I know it kind of spun high for the driver, but what's really cool is I just mentioned, at the beginning of this video, we're going to start to see some decent, positive performances. That's exactly what I would call that. No, it's not going to be top 10, but it gets the job done. And if we also look at a couple other things as well, these are just a couple of notes I made. The Volvik Power Soft had a 4 out of 5 when it came to pure hit feel as well as miss hit feel, so the feel was awesome. And it actually had 4 out of 5 forgiveness. It was one of the most, the better forgiving golf balls I tested this year. So solid option. Volvik, again, is not a company that I've been super impressed with, but this model in particular, it gets the job done. At number 59, we have the brand new Amazon Prime golf ball. So, okay, this just came out a month and a half ago. A lot of hype around it. It's one of my most successful videos of the year, which is kind of hilarious, but everyone wanted to know, how is it? Very popular. What's really interesting about it is it's a golf ball that tries to just kind of do the basics. It's a 2-piece. It's $1 a golf ball. It comes in a yellow, has a very simplistic design. I actually like the simplistic design. I think they did a great job with it. The main problem I have is it doesn't feel like there's a lot of love in it. It feels like it was kind of, well, Amazon made, like, robotic, factory, not a lot of thought process, just, hey, get one out. Looking at the numbers, not bad. You know, if you look at this, it actually spun a lot for a two-piece golf ball. It ranked 36. That's not bad at all. Pitching wedge performance, that's where it really lagged, and I was disappointed. Most two-piece soft golf balls are supposed to do really well with the pitching wedge because they're softer. Not the case here. 7 irons, pretty you know, but it spun a lot. So spin with this golf ball does seem to be toward the higher side, which is great. Then when we get to the driver, that's where this golf ball really stood out. It was top 40 in both mile per hour as well as distance. And then looking at the spin, it's solid. You know, that's not super high. That's kind of right in that middle ground, probably like 2,200 or somewhere in there. Overall, really good performance. Like I said, there was a lot of boxes checked. A lot of boxes were checked. and overall, not bad at all. In fact, if I look at some of the notes I made here, you can see that when it comes to the accuracy, it was a 4 out of 5. When it comes to the distance control, it was a 4 out of 5. Consistency, great. 9 out of 10 on durability, which again is great, but I hated the feel of it. And again, that's where I think those small details of a golf ball, that's where you start to notice if there's love in a golf ball or not. The feel felt like something that was just produced by AI. And I don't know if it was. I'm just saying, like, when you hit it, you're like, that doesn't feel that great. But feel is kind of subjective. You might be different. Overall, a good, solid effort. You know, Amazon, I'm sure, is going to be in this game for years, and they have plenty of time to make adjustments and get the feedback. So for a first effort, I'm pretty impressed. At number 58, we have Maxfli Tour X. Another golf ball. You know, the whole Maxfli lineup is interesting because someone actually made a really good comment. I've talked about how I like the Maxfli lineup. And I like the Maxfli lineup because, not because of the numbers I get. And someone made a really good point in the comments. They said, it doesn't sound like you really like them that much. You keep saying you do, but the numbers aren't there, and it seems... And then I kind of had to think about it, and I realized they're right. And then I realized that I'm kind of committing one of the cardinal sins of golf balling. And this is something that probably just needs to be tested further. I don't know. But it kind of brings up a good point. Like, are we running into another just really good marketing? I don't know, because my numbers, again, aren't great with any of them. However, you guys keep saying, oh, they're amazing, they're amazing, they're amazing. And are we running it? And it's just a thought, right? I don't know. But it was a really good comment, and I thought, man, am I running into that? Because they're right. Would I ever play a Maxfli Tour? No shot in heck. It's for me, whether it's the X or the S or even the regular Tour, I don't get even close to good enough numbers to justify for my game. I've always just assumed that maybe you all get different results, which that's still a possibility. But is it possible that maybe we're running into a situation where, because you know, we see them on My Golf Spy, we see them everywhere, and it's 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Are we just getting into this habit of like, yeah, they're good, but we don't have any data to really prove it? We just say they're good? I don't know. Anyway, here's the numbers. As you can see, when it comes to 50-yard spin, not so great. And then when it comes to the pitching wedge performance, that's pretty mediocre overall. Having, you know, at this point, having 110th and 114th this late in the game, not going to get it done. 7 iron is not bad. You have 50th in total distance, and you have 73rd in ball speed. And then really where this golf ball makes its money is the driver. It was number 1, being the lowest spinning golf ball I tested this year, which is good. That's what it's designed to do. And then yards, it was only 40th because the ball speed was just so low. So, you know, is this a golf ball for me? No. I'm surprised it even got this high. In my notes here, it looks like, you know, as far as greenside spin, one of the highest greenside chipping spins I saw this year by far. And then also just that forgiveness, the firm feel, the clickiness. When you mishit it, it does punish you a lot, especially as an average swinger as well as a slow swinger. Again, sorry for that long rant, but it does kind of beg the question of, you know, maybe these golf balls just need more testing, right? Maybe I just need to do more testing with them and see what's going on. Maybe some on course. But it does feel weird that right now, Titleist is the number 1 golf ball. This is going off the My Golf Spy surveys. And Maxfli is number 2. Like, Maxfli, not Callaway, not Taylormade. Maxfli is number 2 in the survey results for most played golf ball. That's pretty crazy. It really is. And I'm just wondering, are we running into marketing again, or are these golf balls really legit? And I think we need to do a more extensive testing. Maybe I need to test them from a faster swing speed, from a slower swing speed, and we will dive into that next season for sure. I want to start doing some advanced testing on golf balls, especially models like this where I have a lot of questions. At number 57, we have was actually pretty surprised to see the True Feel this low. It's a two-piece that I recommend a lot because I feel like the True Feel is a golf ball that if you still feel like you should play a two-piece because you need to, eliminate the penalties and, just get in the fairway, on the green, I feel like this golf ball, as far as being a two-piece, is one of the better ones at simulating some aspects of a three-piece or even a urethane model without being that. So I thought, like, yeah, this thing should be 50s, 40s, 30s, just not the case, but it's a solid option. It really is. I can't split hairs here. It's a good golf ball. Really what hurts this is probably like the price being a little high. It's usually, like $25, $26 a dozen, somewhere in there. They don't run sales, obviously, because it's Titleist. They never do. But if we look at the numbers here, as you can see, I wish it had just been better overall because, you got a lot of red in there. I mean, as far as 50-yard pitch, that's not bad. Pitching wedge is okay. 7-iron, really low. Driver, abysmal. And then when we get into, as far as what I wrote for my notes, I basically said that the accuracy as well as the distance control is excellent. It has a 9 out of 10 durability. Decent forgiveness for being, a two-piece model. Maybe not the best, but solid. Greenside spins a little above average for a two-piece as well. I think overall it's a solid option, but I guess maybe in my head I thought that those results would be better. I didn't anticipate on like the 109th, 111th, 105th. At this point in the game, I thought we would have eliminated the hundreds, like I said before. So, a solid option. At number 56, we have the Callaway Chrome Tour Triple Diamond. This is a golf ball that gained a lot of notoriety this year. A lot of people found out about it. Really kind of went mainstream because of the My Golf Spy, robotic testing. It ended up as the longest off the driver. I think it's a really solid golf ball, especially for the average swinger, which surprised me this year. But there's a couple main issues that Callaway really needs to clean up. And if they do, we could see this golf ball be a top 40 or top 30 one year. But the issues are pretty glaring. Let's go ahead and look at the actual rankings as far as how it ended up. Looking at the 50-yard pitch, that's awesome. In the top 40, I'll take it, absolutely. Pitching wedge, not bad. Pretty good ball speed, pretty good distance. Spin being low doesn't bother me. It's supposed to be a low spin model, so that's good. Then when we get to 7-iron performance, we have 36th, we have 38th, both excellent. Top 40, love it. Low spin, okay, again, supposed to be a low spin golf ball, which is great. And then driver, 24th, 34th, 66th. That arguably could be one of the best performances we've seen so far on this list. I mean, the metrics are well above average. That's excellent. So why does it fall so low? Well, it's those intangibles. In fact, if we look at what I put here in my little notes, when it comes to the Triple Diamond, the greenside spin was one of the lowest I tested this year. I only ranked it at 25%, which that's usually what I see a good two-piece ball at, which is really, really disappointing. Accuracy and dispersion was not that great. And then when it came to durability, that was the main knock against this golf ball, other than its price, is the fact that the durability was a 5 out of 10. I mean, this golf ball is mangled after 18 holes of use. I can't even get 18 out of it. I can probably get 14 to 15 somewhere in there, maybe 13. I have a rule, and I think it's a pretty easy rule. If you charge me $55 a dozen, I expect it to last longer. Right? And that rule doesn't just apply to golf balls. If I go into Best Buy and they say, hey, look, this TV right here, this TV, 5 times the cost of this TV, but it's the same size. And I say, oh, okay, but it lasts longer, right? And if they go, oh, no, they both last 5 years. I'll take the 5-year one. I'm picture quality, yeah, I'm sure that one's better or whatever, but I as a guy who just plays video games and watches YouTube, I think I'm okay. I expect it to, and I think that's fair. And the durability isn't just bad, it's abysmal. And so if they can clean that up as well as like the greenside spin and stuff like that, yeah, we're looking at like a top 40, top 30 golf ball possibly. But you got to clean up those intangibles. At number 55, we are looking at the Volvik Vista 3. This is kind of an interesting golf ball, right? So it is a inexpensive 3-piece model. I do not believe it's urethane. However, when it comes to the design of it, it comes with this, I call it the Rainbow Road, but it comes with this Prism 360 design. They also did release a special edition for the month of October, a pink design, which is pretty cool as well. It's nice because I like the 360 design. I know some of you don't. It is unique, but what's really cool is when you putt this ball, because it has that color spectrum, it's cool. It looks like a rainbow rolling. It's actually really cool. It's unique, and I like the fact that it stands out. But it's not just that. It has some pretty good metrics as well. If we look, yes, it doesn't spin a lot on 50-yard pitch. I get that, but pitching wedge performance is all in the yellow. That's very solid. Then when we get to the 7-iron, we're looking at 28th, 19th, and low spin, so kind of a distance model there. Then when we get to driver, also a really solid performance off the tee, 31st, 28th, as well as mid-spin, I would say, 22, 2300, somewhere in that range. And then if I look at my notes here, if we transfer to that, yeah, 9 out of 10 durability, and, considering the price point, that's really, really good, and it has that unique design. So it's not the most accurate, it's not the most bestest on distance control or anything like that, but it has some intangibles, and it has a pretty solid performance, and it's unique, it stands out. So I think this is a pretty deserving spot. At number 54, we have the Bridgestone E12 Speed. So I do want to correct something. I did mention in the last one I did, which was the E12 Straight, the E12 Straight is a 3-piece model. It's not a 2-piece. I always mix it up with the Speed off the top of my head, and I do apologize. Someone pointed that out. Thank you. The Straight is a 3-piece. I'm still not happy with the price. This is another 2-piece, and that's my main issue. $35 for a 2-piece. I feel like Bridgestone needs to bring the price of these golf balls down to $29.99. I really do. I just don't see paying that for a 2-piece, plastic blend golf ball. I really don't. Don't get me wrong. I like what they're doing. I like all of the, high launch and speed, depending on what you need. The fitting, it's great. But again, look at the numbers. The numbers, what's most important here, right? 37th when it comes to 50-yard spin, which is great, but the ball is intended for speed. It's supposed to be all about ball speed, and I don't know if having great spin, maybe that's just having your cake and eating it too, right? No, if we look at the ball speed for pitching wedge, it's kind of middle of the pack. If we look at ball speed for the 7-iron, oh, okay, now I see you. I see what you're doing, 18th. That's excellent. Actually, a great 7-iron performance. But let's be honest. Let's get back to the driver. I did swing with a slow swing speed, so I did have to do some calculations on these, but the 1/19th obviously isn't 100% accurate because if I had swung just a tad faster, but even doing the calculations, we're still only looking at probably 80s, 90s, a lackluster performance, and it's called the Speed, but yet it's spun really well, and so that's always been my issue with Bridgestone. I think there is a little bit of roller coaster in here, but overall, it's a solid ball, but also, if I do look at my notes here, it looks like when it came to the E12 Speed, it had phenomenal greenside spin, one of the best I've seen. And then the durability was lacking, 6 out of 10. And again, you're charging that high price point. Durability's terrible. I can't get through a round with it. And the feel was not very good either. I know that's subjective, but I really did not care for the feel at all. I thought it was very dead in the hands, no feedback, and just not fun to hit. Frowny face every time I make contact. So there's that. At number 53, we have the Callaway Diablo. So, this is now a 2-piece distance golf ball from Callaway. They have changed it up quite a bit over the years. But you know what? It's actually a really good bargain. You can get, I think I bought them 2 dozen for like $42. Not a bad deal at all, but I think they kind of force you to, because if I remember correctly, I think it's like $35 for a dozen, but if you buy 2, it's $42. So like, it's kind of like pizzas, right? The first one's $15, and then the next one's like 50 cents. It's weird how it works that way. But if we look at these numbers, overall really solid. Even being a 2-piece distance ball, it's spun 80th when it comes to 50-yard spin, which is not bad. Pitching wedge isn't bad. It's on the high yellow side, but still it's in that medium range. 7-iron definitely is what hurt this golf ball the most. But when we get to driver, however, that's where this golf ball truly, truly shined. 18th in yards, 42nd when it came to mile per hour. But because the spin was so low, that's why the yards ended up so high. Overall, for that price, there's a lot of you who need a 2-piece distance ball who are mid-fast swingers and just need to get off the tee a little bit better. Excellent golf ball for doing that. If I look at the notes as far as what I spectated about it, When it comes to the Diablo, it had a 4 out of 5 on accuracy, 5 out of 5 on pure hit feel, which is, again, that's what I was just talking about. It's excellent off the tee. It feels excellent off of irons. And on forgiveness, it actually had a 4 out of 5, which was not bad at all. So a really solid effort here, inexpensive. It's a great option, definitely worth a shot for some of you. I know some of you bought the sleeves I had, and they might be gone at this point, but actually, no, I see a bunch of them there. So if you want to try this ball, I still have sleeves for sale, individual sleeves on my eBay page. So lots of them. You can give it a try. At number 52, we have the Snyder Pro. So only one Snyder ball left after this. This is a 5-piece model. It's not the X, which we've already covered, but it is the Pro. One thing I really love about it is the feel is so crispy. There's so much light feedback. It feels really good coming off the club. It's how a 5-piece golf ball should feel, in my opinion. However, if we look at the metrics, again, when it comes to 50-yard spin, it's one of the best. That's what Snyder has just dominated this year. Disappointing with the pitching wedge for sure. Just didn't get a lot of ball speed and didn't get a lot of spin, so I was a little disappointed in that. Then when we get to the 7, that's where the golf ball really started to shine, but again, low spin. The golf ball's kind of acting like the Pro V1. That's what it wants to do. It's probably trying to compete with that, if I had to guess, based on, just what I'm seeing. But then when we get to driver, really, really great. One of the top 16 in ball speed. Distance-wise was a little bit higher than that, but still in the green, and that's because the spin wasn't the lowest, but it's still really good. That driver performance is excellent. It's an awesome ball off the tee. I just wish it had done a little bit better with the pitching wedge, because that's the club I use the most. I use pitching wedges, 9 irons, 8 irons, short irons a lot on courses when I play. So I just wish it had been better in that. If I look at the intangibles here, the Snyder Pro had 80% of greenside spin, which is one of the best I have seen this year. 4 out of 5 on the accuracy. Again, like I said, 5 out of 5 on the feel. But the price is really expensive, and that's what turned a lot of you away from these golf balls, is that the price is just, they're charging for a direct-to-consumer golf ball $55 a dozen or somewhere close to that. A lot of you were like, I'll just buy Pro V. Like, why would I buy a brand I don't know? And that's fair. That's a fair thing. And so I'm chipping away slowly. I know that Snyder's watching this because they usually watch these videos, but we got to figure out a way to get that price down, because the feedback from you all has basically been that. And to wrap up the video, at number 51, we have the Bigger Ball. Bigger Ball. It's kind of fun to say, Bigger Ball. Yeah, that's fun to say. This is an interesting one. If you didn't see this review, I did it with a couple other 2-piece models. Long story short, these golf balls were given to me at the PGA show last year by 2 young gentlemen who were very chill, very fun. They made this golf ball because they just wanted a 2-piece that was cheaper. The problem is that it's not cheaper. Golf ball pricing is so important. When you have 120 different models, you all know this. You're going to look at 2 models and go, okay, this one tested amazing. This one tested amazing. Oh, this one's $1 a golf ball and this one's $3 a golf ball. I'll go with the $1 a golf ball. That's just common sense, right? Don't get me wrong. If there was a golf ball that was $4 and it was that much better, yeah, we'd probably all play it. If we look at the numbers, as far as testing, it does not spin with the 50-yard pitch. That's fine, but let's check out some of the ball speed here. We got 33rd on pitching wedge ball speed. 7-iron ball speed was 2nd. That's awesome. And then total yards, we got 37th with pitching wedge, 10th with the 7-iron. And then driver performance is very solid as well in the low yellow, 47th, 49th, 28th in spin, really good. So the Bigger Ball, despite having a strange name and being a little bit expensive, the numbers are pretty good. Now, why does it fall so low with great numbers like that? Well, look at the intangibles. It does come at that high price point, like I said. Now, 9 out of 10 durability helps its case. That's really good as well. With 4 out of 5 forgiveness, I love that. But ultimately, there was a couple issues with distance control. It's definitely high risk, high reward. And then the other thing is that it kind of does get hurt on design a little bit, because a lot of you felt the golf ball was a little gimmicky because it's a little corny. Bigger balls, the logo looks like male privates. I get, it's not classy. I get that. It's supposed to be fun. I know who it's intended for. I get that. But a lot of you are like, okay, you know, like, all right, you know, sure. You know, it gets a chuckle out of you, but do you really want to play it? And the other thing that bothers me as well is that they advertise this. Look at this. They advertise this alignment tool online. Look at that. It says, like, it's a pro of the ball. It's called, like, the alignment aid. It says the true alignment aid, you know, for helping line. That is not an alignment tool. That will not help anybody line their golf ball up. And I mean, just take that off your website. I'm cool with you not having one, but showing one that's awful and then being like, hey, check out the true alignment aid, you know, patented technology. Stop. You know, it's not that great of an alignment tool, but other than that, you know, not a solid effort, especially from that. So I think it's their first effort. They're getting ready to come out with a 3 or 4 piece or something. I look forward to it. I can't wait to test it. All right, that is down to where from here on out, we are in the top 50. And as all of you know, the top 50 is pretty good. I mean, it is. It's pretty good, especially this year. It's the best this year because we've had so many models tested. At this point, being in the top 50, it's worth playing. You know, that's all there is to it. So I will see you in 2 days for that. As always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time, I'll see you soon.